Khan Shalawam Akim Akwath Mashbaka. Salaki, let me put my camera on. This Officer IZR with my esteemed colleague, Officer Apayat. Right here to bring you another banger for the couch Captivity created. We got some interesting research that the brother Apayat has done. We're gonna get this thing together real quick. First and foremost, if y'all in the chat, shout us out so we know you there, and then help us get this word out. Like, share, subscribe, post it, paste it all over your social media to your loved ones, your colleagues, even your ops, right? Post it to the ops too. You know what I'm saying? Let's get it out there. All right. All praises. We're gonna get this thing cracking in a few. All right, I'm gonna bring this thing in officially, Apayat, and then whenever you're ready, King, I'm gonna let you lay down the groundwork. But first and foremost, I want to give Call Halal Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai Hamashiach. That's all praises to the Most High God in the name of His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai Hamashiach, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. This is, like I said, Officer Yaziar, Officer Apayat in the building, bringing you another banger. You see the title. Right. And this dude, he's been the subject of discussion as of late just because of his foolery. Right. We can't believe how much of a clown this dude is and versus how much press he gets. Right. And he talks boldly. That's the funny part. Right. Rozenberg, Harry Rozenberg, a Harry Crook. Right. A culture vulture. So, Officer Apayat, I'm gonna hand the baton to you and let you put it down.
First and foremost, I'd like to give Call Hello Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. Shalom families, Officer Apayat. Back here, long days of work, but I made it. I'm here. Sorry for my tardiness, but I just wanted to get right into this video footage I have of this Harry Crook we have on display today, because he's an outright charlatan and he just be talking, and really someone has to expose this for what it really is. And it's an identity theft that's just writing his own rules as he goes along with it. So without further ado, let's cue the video.
All right, bet.
Take me to the 9:30 mark.
Gotcha.
Lost tribes.
All right, and just as a quick sound check in the chat while we playing this, throw up ones if it's all good. If you're having issues, throw up a 2. All right, here we go.
Yeah, I think there's much smarter people than me out there, but I think that the fact that I've combined a lot of my ancestors' writings with what's going on with my millennial mindset, that I've produced a way new...
Salakia, take it back like 15, 20 seconds.
Okay.
...2006, yeah. Okay.
Right there?
Yeah, when this guy comes in, let's see if he comes in.
Very proud of that. Nice.
Just look at these guys.
Oh man, the weirdo round table, right? Yeah, all of them crossed up, just looking crazy, right?
So
Here we go.
After the closet,
Yes.
and that was
So I pause this.
2006.
Pause this real quick.
Huh?
So they were talking about how there's this thing that these small hat kids do, not necessarily the religious ones, but just in their adolescence, they go in post high school years and they basically trip out on drugs and go in a closet and have an experience, right? So he was talking about he had an experience in a closet and came out, right? So I just thought that was awkward off top how he presented his whole day. He started off by talking about how he had experience in the closet and had to come out. So I just thought that was interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, what you call it? A Freudian slip.
You see?
2006.
Yeah.
Okay, and then sometime between 2006 and now you've pretty much become. Is it fair to say you're the foremost? You're one of the leading scholars on the Lost Tribes.
Yeah, I
The
think
pride
there's a
of
lot
Esau.
smarter people than me out there, but
The pride.
I think that the fact that I've combined a lot of my ancestors' writings with what's going on with my millennial mindset, that I've produced a way new lens to look through this and how to see the picture. So there's scholars out there who could talk about the dress of the Abu Daya tribe here and what they're wearing and how it's symbolic and all the details. But I took a step out and I saw a much bigger picture going on that I think I introduced to the world, and I think it's really from my ancestors. My grandparents were speaking about stuff like this, but yeah.
You keep talking about your ancestors. So can you elaborate on what you mean by the work of your ancestors?
Right. So I come from one of the greatest rabbis of the 2,000-year Jewish exile. His name is the Vilna Gaon, Rabbi Eliyahu Kramer, and his students wrote a letter to find these lost tribes of Israel. Hundreds of years ago, they were looking for them.
Right, because originally there were 12 tribes of Israel.
12.
Correct.
So I just wanted y'all to hear the craziness that he's basing his whole claim on. His ancestor is some ancient rabbi, right? Some ancient rabbi. That's peculiar. And they were writing letters hundreds of years ago to search for the lost tribes of Israel. And they've known that like they had an idea who all these tribes were, but we don't have history of black people being approached as the lost tribes of Israel. They just came to try to jump on a movement that brothers had already started with the Rabbi Matthew and them brothers, you know what I'm saying, with the ancient leadership. So I see already that these people are just coming with a whole made up text, and they don't even have nothing to back up their claim, because this goes into the history of the Sanhedrin, which is questionable. See what I'm saying?
Right. Which is the Sanhedrin, which is a Greek word, right?
Con.
The irony. But here we go.
Yeah. Speaking of which, we're gonna go into a little bit of that.
For sure.
Let's get a little context.
Yeah.
12 tribes of Israel. There was a unified kingdom. Then there became a civil war, basically. They weren't really fighting with each other. They just cut off ties. And the northern kingdom was 10 tribes, and the southern kingdom was Judea, 2 tribes. And so we're the descendants, us Jews, from the Judean kingdom, the southern kingdom. Jew comes from Judah.
This is right after King Solomon, right? The king's
Yes, shortly after King Solomon.
Children.
Yeah, because the taxes for the temple were too high for the north, so they seceded.
Republicans. Right, a big, in terms of terminology, something.
So rewind that.
Back then, everyone
You
was
hear what this dude has to say?
Israelites.
Yeah, so it's
Saying
the house
that the kingdom split
Specific
because
tribe.
the taxes were too
The
high.
word
But this is crazy.
I'm
This is
telling
crazy.
you, they just have their own narrative, and they run.
They
Man.
weren't really fighting with each other. They just cut off ties. And the northern kingdom was 10 tribes, and the southern kingdom was Judea, 2 tribes. And so we're the descendants, us Jews, from the Judean kingdom, the southern kingdom. Jew comes from Judah.
This is right after King Solomon, right? The king's
Yes,
civil
shortly
war.
after King
His
Solomon.
children.
Yeah, because the taxes for the temple were too high for the north, so they seceded.
Republicans. Right, a big, in terms of terminology, something I picked up from you was back then everyone was Israelites.
Yes, it was
Jews
the house of
were
All
Israel.
right, so pause it right there. This is extraordinary, let me tell you. So what they teach is that the kingdom was split because the taxes were too high in the temple.
Man,
Let's get into it. Let's get 1 Kings 11 real quick. Can you start at 3, Baba Kasha? This is outrageous what these people are talking about.
this is the book of 1 Kings, chapter 11, starting at verse 3. And he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines. And his wife,
Salakia. I'm gonna go the long way. Start at 1, Baba Kasha.
for sure.
Start at 1. Let's give them context who we're talking about.
This book of 1 Kings, chapter 11, verse 1. But King Solomon loved many strange women, together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zidonians, and Hittites. Of the nations concerning which the Lord said unto the children of Israel, ye shall not go into them, neither shall they come in unto you, for surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. Solomon clave unto these in love. Verse 3. And he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. For it came to pass, when Solomon was old, that his wives turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart was not perfect with the Lord his God, as was the heart of his father David.
So right there you see Solomon had these wives. These wives were wives who he shouldn't have been being with. They were from the 7 nations mentioned for Israel not to mingle our seed with, not to mention they had Edom in that list as well. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So in that group of people, Solomon shouldn't have had a lot of those. He shouldn't have had a lot of those wives. There's plenty wives. We don't need the Canaanite nations. The Canaanite nations mentioned in Deuteronomy 7, as well as him mingling with the Edomite women, right? If they were told not to be with. But we see that not only did he mingle with women he shouldn't have been mingling with, he went out and followed after their gods. And that was the problem that Solomon faced.
God.
Keep reading.
Back at 1 Kings chapter 11 and verse 4. For it came to pass, when Solomon was old, that his wives turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart was not perfect with the Lord his God, as was the heart of David his father. For Solomon went after Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Zidonians, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites. Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord, and went not fully after the Lord, as did David his father. Then did Solomon build an high place for Shamash, the abomination of Moab, in the hill that is before Jerusalem, and for Molech, the abomination of the children of Ammon.
So it's just going into specifics of these gods he's turning to for these other nations. Keep reading.
Okay. And likewise did he for all his strange wives, which burnt incense and sacrificed unto their gods.
Keep reading.
Verse 9. And the Lord was angry with Solomon, because his heart was turned from the Lord God of Israel, which had appeared unto him twice, and had commanded him concerning this thing, that he should not go after other gods, but he kept not that which the Lord commanded.
So that is Solomon right there. He's in a state of you about to get punished. See what I'm saying? Because now you're not what you're supposed to be up here. Your father David was perfect. He was whole in the Lord. You know what I'm saying? He was a man after God's heart. He was for the nation. He was serving the Lord. You know what I'm saying? Solomon is outright abominable. He's going after these other gods because women are luring him into their bed chambers, whispering puppy love in his ear, and now he's ready to put the whole nation on the verge. It's madness.
God.
Read.
Verse 11. Wherefore the Lord said unto Solomon, forasmuch this is done of thee, and thou hast not kept my covenants and my statutes, which I have commanded thee, I will surely rend the kingdom from thee, and I will give it to thy servant.
So there you go. Northern Kingdom finna take the kingdom, right? I just wanted to get that real quick to give people a context of the kingdom splitting. It was already foretold that the kingdom would split because Solomon was going off into idolatry. But we had to read all through that story to get the context of the gods he was serving and the nations whose gods he was serving, and really why Solomon, or really why the kingdom was split, and that's the backstory to it. So now we can get 1 Kings 12.
Okay. 1 Kings chapter 12.
Matter of fact, go back in 11 Slakia and give me verse 29.
Okay. This is 1 Kings chapter 11 and verse 29. And it came to pass at that time when Jeroboam went out of Jerusalem that the prophet Ahijah the Shilonite found him in the way, and he had clad himself with a new garment, and they two were alone in the field. And Ahijah caught the new garment that was on him and rent it in 12 pieces. And he said to Jeroboam, take thee 10 pieces, for thus said the Lord, the God of Israel, behold, I will rend the kingdom out of the hand of Solomon and will give 10 tribes to thee.
So that's the servant right there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's Northern Kingdom. So I'm saying Jeroboam, but they were the ones who were building the temple, right? They were charged with the labors for Judah. You know what I'm saying? For building the temple and all. So we see that. We see that this is all a prophecy has been spoken. Boom, it's laid on the table. Now we get it in 12 to get the matter.
Okay. Want me to start from the top?
Why not? Let's get a history lesson tonight.
Okay. It's the book of 1 Kings, chapter 12, from the top. And Rehoboam went to Shechem, for all Israel will come to Shechem to make him king. And it came to pass, when Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who was yet in Egypt, heard of it, for he was fled from the presence of King Solomon, and Jeroboam dwelt in Egypt, that they sent and called him. And Jeroboam and all the congregation of Israel came and spake unto Rehoboam, saying, thy father made our yoke grievous. Now therefore make thou the grievous service of thy father and his heavy yoke which he put upon us lighter, and we will serve thee.
Right.
And
so the temple is built. So I'm saying, so they saying, take some of these labors off us, this day-to-day labor, right? The temple is finished. Let us breathe a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. And he said unto them, depart yet for 3 days, then come again to me. And the people departed. And King Rehoboam consulted with the old men that stood before Solomon his father while he yet lived, and said, how do ye advise that I may answer this people? And they spake unto him, saying, if thou wilt be a servant unto this people this day, and wilt serve them and answer them and speak good words to them, then they will be thy servants forever. But he forsook the counsel of the old men which they had given him, and consulted with the young men that were grown up with him, and which stood before him. And he said unto them, what counsel give ye that we may answer this people who have spoken to me, saying, make the yoke which thy father did put upon us lighter. And the young men that were grown up with him spake unto him, saying, thus shalt thou speak unto this people that spake unto thee, saying, thy father made our yoke heavy, but make thou it lighter unto us. Thus shalt thou say unto them, my little finger shall be thicker than my father's loins. And now, whereas my father did lade you with a heavy yoke, I will add to your yoke. My father had chastised you with whips, but I will chastise you with scorpions.
So look, this dude is crazy, right? He goes to the elders, which is the man thing to do, right? Be a man, live lawfully. He goes to the elders, they give him counsel. He misses out on the counsel. Now all of a sudden, he's listening to the young homies that's out here reckless and wilding out. Let's get it's super flagrant. Let's get Sirach 8. This is crazy.
And Rozenberg talking about taxes.
We didn't talk about it. He said it was the taxes of the temple.
Man, ain't that so? They issuing out taxes in the temple these days, huh?
Yeah.
Sirach 8. Where you want to start at?
Let's get 8 and 9.
It's the book of Sirach, chapter 8 and verse 9. Miss not the discourse of the elders, for they also learn of their fathers, and of them that shall learn understanding, and to give answer as need required.
So this is wisdom, right? Miss not the discourse of the elders. He was in the temple era, right? Original temple era of Israel, and he decides to not go with the counsel of the elders. It's just disappointing.
Major disappointment.
Right. Now let's go back to 1 Kings 12.
Come. It's the book of 1 Kings, chapter 12, picking up on verse 12. So Jeroboam and all the people came to Rehoboam the third day, as the king had appointed, saying, come to me again the third day. And the king answered the people roughly, and forsook the old man's counsel that they gave him, and spake to them after the counsel of the young man, saying, my father made your yoke heavy, and I will add to your yoke. My father also chastised you with whips, but I will chastise you with scorpions. Wherefore the king hearkened not unto the people, for the cause was from the Lord, that he might perform his saying, which the Lord spake by Ahijah the Shilonite unto Jeroboam the son of Nebat.
So right there you see that it all had been spoken, it all had come to pass. That was why the kingdom was rend, right? And there you have it. So Harry doesn't know what he's talking about. Let's continue with the video.
Con.
Well, the word Jew didn't come into reality yet.
Right.
But
we were the Israelite nation.
Yes.
Made up of, so let's just for the
Imagine
general population that knows general history about this, you have the Egyptians, you have the Jews, you have the Israelites. Okay? Israelites as slaves. They come out of Egypt, become a nation, independent, and then fast forward, establish a nation state of Israel, right? Would it be called? Would it be safe to say the
Commonwealth?
The Commonwealth. What? A
kingdom with the nation state. I'm telling you, just have to hear it.
Look.
They're going crazy. You know what I'm saying?
It's like they listening to what the real Israelites are saying and trying to put their spin on it. See what I'm saying? They trying to go back to these key phrases that they hear us say, and it ain't working. Because number one, not one of these clowns right here will last a day in the heat in Egypt in captivity. Especially Rozenberg, the gingerbread boy. He would burn, he would cook alive. So this is ludicrous. But here we go.
Yeah,
Get
that's
lost
crazy.
in history.
Correct.
So now we are at the Civil War period in which the children, the descendants of King Solomon, began to bicker.
Yes, the taxes for the temple were too high for the north, so they seceded.
Once again,
made
he
their own temple,
reinforces it.
and they went into exile. The Assyrian army came and exiled, which the Assyrian army was known to do. It was more cost effective than just going to war. They exiled the northern 10 tribes towards the far east, and many of them ran into the north, and some hit the sea on ships. And the Judeans stayed in the first temple period still of King Solomon in Judea for another period of time afterwards, just by themselves, which is where the Jew started to become a reality.
And this is
that was
two
all that was
tribes?
left.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yes, because it was Judah and Benjamin in the south, and you also had the tribe of Levi, who lived amongst all the tribes, because Levi didn't own. So we have a Levite with us right now. The Levites didn't own land in Israel, so they didn't have their own place.
He's Levi,
They
huh?
were just amongst everyone because they were the
You see, he
teachers.
said wash his hands.
So this is actually before we get into
just
the
all
controversy.
precepts of men. Their whole
Tradition.
doctrine is fucking
Super cool because
sluggish.
especially the
Precepts of
prophecies,
men.
back then said that one day we're going to unite in the future, and even the Vilna Gaon says it's a crucial unification to get to the redemption. So I just look at those prophecies as like a really good, Hail Mary that they threw up pass, and here we are in 2022 catching it.
The Hail Mary is an interesting choice of word there.
I was like, is that a good word? Because
I thought he
I
was
don't
going to
know.
make another dumb point.
You know what?
A lot of people are confused.
I will say,
Yeah,
What's the minute marker you're at?
right now it's at about 13:20.
Jump to 15. Jump to 15.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking at these dudes weird out. I just want to hear the points he made.
But it was those. It wasn't what the lost 10 tribes not go to the Babylonian.
no,
We don't know what happened.
Well, the fascinating thing is if you realize that in the story of Purim, which happens during those 70 years that the Judeans are in Babylon, the kingdom of Achashverosh, the ruler at the time, he ruled from Africa to India, and 127 provinces.
The Persian Empire.
Yes, 127 nations from Africa to India, and in each one of them, they were Israelites. They were people from the house of Israel, and they spoke different languages. How in a 70-year period can the Jewish people get to India and provinces in 127 nations? So it must have been, it wasn't the Jews at that time he was also ruling over and trying to kill. It was the Israelites who were sent towards Afghanistan, who stretched all the way towards India, who were also in his rulership. And this is why it's one of the chapters in the book of Esther. It says the people were mit Yahadim. A lot of people converted at that time. A mass conversion basically across the Silk Road from Africa to India. And we believe it wasn't just a conversion of people who wanted to become part of this. It was Israelites who adapted the Jewish way of thinking because they saw it was preserved from the courts of the Temple of Jerusalem.
They converted
So
back
pause
into
that.
Yes, and this
Judaism.
Yeah.
So that's basically what their beliefs are. That, and he says it in the beginning. I don't know. I must have let it go past it, but I didn't hear him say it. He says how they believe that everybody is a Jew now because, like, y'all have to watch the video. Make sure you leave the link to this video in the
For sure.
in the comments, because he says that they believe that you're a Jew by following the law now, like coming to their law, which is all his own doctrine, right? That's something they made up. Like, he's saying you have to become a Jew by coming to the law. They teach the law, and that he's giving ideas right now that all these people from Africa and between the Elam, right? He's saying that they were gonna convert and come back. See what I'm saying? As Northern Kingdom, but now they're coming back as being Jews. So it's all crossed up. I just wanted to make sure y'all catch that. That's what he's saying. Play the video.
Yeah, that's pure babble.
There were people that did that.
Well, back into there was a portion of the Israelites that kept that, like, I'm asking, like, kept sort of stricter. They kept the tradition alive, while the 10 other tribes were unable to do that.
The Judeans, Judah specifically, was tasked by Jacob to keep the law, the scepter of the law, until the final redemption, till the end of days.
I like that with that scepter of the law.
Exactly. And it says, the verse says, they'll hold the scepter of the law until Shiloh comes. And Shiloh is numerical value in the Torah of Mashiach, Messiah. So we see that the Jewish people were responsible for the law until the Messiah comes.
Any relation to the city of Shiloh? There's only one line of Navi I ever remember. Elkanah went to Shiloh, and then I forgot the rest of the year.
Shiloh's a great place. I visited there. So yeah, basically to answer your question is we were the keepers of the law because we had the temple, we had the courts, we had the law, and
we
brought
descendants of the tribe of Judah.
Yeah.
What were the other ones?
See that them is the descendants of the tribe of Judah, right?
A lot of them were
right.
So they're always setting it up, putting themselves in that seat of authority. Yeah, us as the descendants of the tribe of Judah, and we give the law, we decipher it down to the people. See what I'm saying? And they were tasked with the scepter. You know what I'm saying? Genesis 49. That's what they was talking about.
And he poses the scepter as the scepter of the law, but my impression of the scepter would be, you know, the ceremonial staff that the king carries. You know what I'm saying? Showing the regal lineage of the house of David, right? He's making
the authority,
right. He's making it about, oh, we kept the scepter of the law, but he's evading the whole point that Christ is the king of the Jews, and David was the last king where both houses were together, and Christ comes from the loins of David, and it's going to be reunited in the end. Like he wants to bypass that whole prophecy because I'm assuming he's a non-messianic Jew, right?
No, I think Harry believes that there's going to be a Messiah. He doesn't necessarily attest to Christ, but he believes there's going to be a Messiah. But then he speaks sometimes like he's ambiguous. That's as far as I know about this guy.
Right. He's always walking. He always walking the fence because
that part.
He definitely danced over the fact that Yahushua carried the scepter. You know what I'm saying? From David, and that line of rulership won't leave the house of David.
Just farming, you know, one tribe, you have Issachar and Zebulun, one was learning, one was working. They were just living their best life, and the temple ruled over the law of the house of Israel. The temple is what decided the laws, and that's where that's where it all went down.
How does this story play out with what we learned in sort of modern Jewish history with the Sadducees and the Pharisees and all of that stuff? Does that come way later in the timeline?
So that comes way later.
That's dealing still amongst Jews.
Yes, that was inter-Judean beef. Right, what's going on?
Judean beef.
What's the time saying?
Judean beef at this Bukhari.
Right now it's right at 18. 1803.
Jump to 19. I don't know what the hell.
When there was, you know, communication with the Babylonian yeshiva institutions, let's say in the year 700 or 800, that they said, okay, we'll take back the law. So if someone takes on the 613 commandments of the Torah and the law as preserved by the house of Judah, generation to generation, even until today to me, you've merged yourself into this thing called Judah. But
that's
at the end of times, there's something called the unification between Judah and Israel. You may not even realize, but you say it every single day when you pray in Hebrew. Hypothetically, you would say, if you were praying every morning, Yehuda v'Yisrael, that we pray for the unification between the house of Judah and the house of Israel. So when you have a tribe, let's say across the Silk Road, who says, we're from the house of Israel, you know, we don't say, oh, so you're Jewish. We'll say you could become Jewish if you join back to the law, and this is the kingdom of like David's law, so you're in. So that's like what's been happening throughout the exile. But we believe in the future there's going to be a greater unification where it's not individual conversions. There's going to be nations that are going to wake up and unite with us, and it's going to be a whole new reality and a whole new series of laws that are going to emerge from it. It's called the Messianic days, you know, and people may think you're kooky to say we're living in them, but who knows?
Well, what I love about what you do is that...
So, boom, look at that. He's saying all the nations, and I'm telling you, he makes the point somewhere earlier in this video, and that was his point of reinforcing it, saying that everybody is going to come into Judaism. See what I'm saying? And that's what they're looking for. to convert everybody into this form of Judaism that puts them as the pinnacle, right? And everybody else is converting, and how you can possibly be from one of the tribes.
Right, which is just a completely whacked out, non-biblical take on things.
Narrative, right? Yeah, that
Right?
part.
It's crazy because evidently he hasn't read Ezekiel chapter 37, right? He don't know about that. It ain't about, oh, we're gonna become Jews. It's about we're gonna become the house of Israel, Israelites, one house.
Yeah, bring that in. Bring that
You know
up.
what I'm saying? Yeah, he just wag all around.
There's this
So
whole
look, that's because
Yeah.
he don't have the New Testament to go off. He's going off this form of Judaism that they're trying to create, and dance around the topic. So he feels like Yahushua is coming. Like, this is a question. He feels like Yahushua is coming to now we're living in the end days, because that's what the Jews believe, right? It's a Messiah coming. We already believe the Messiah came, so he believes that the the white dude in in Israel, the white dude from Spain or where he's from, the
Mhm.
new Messiah, they believe that he's the Messiah.
Man,
That doesn't
they
even
whack.
make sense.
They are whacked out.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Unbelievable.
narrative that's existed for the last few thousand years that has just sort of like fell out of fashion in the last few hundred years, I guess. So like when we go to school, we don't learn about it, but then everything you say, you bring back to the text, and you're like, well, it's not crazy because you're right. It's in there. It's in the prayer book, and we say it every day. No one ever thinks about what it means, but it is there, and it's like pretty.
See
It's always
that?
been fascinating to me to hear you talk
Right.
about this stuff.
I
They don't
appreciate it.
even
It'd
they
be
don't even
fascinating.
regard their Jewish upbringing. It's just something they do. It's a big front. They're all just
Yeah.
in the
Force of
world.
habit.
Hey, we're the Jews. Yeah, we go to this school, we do this, and then we go out and blood suck the world. It's crazy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It's force of habit, and I've seen it in real life. You know what I'm saying, in the business world, a lot of cats be like, yeah, 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 I'm Jewish, I'm Jewish, I'm Jewish, and then you get into a discussion, even a light discussion about anything dealing with Torah, and you're like, man, I don't bother with any of that.
They say I'm not religious.
Yeah, I'm
You know
not
what I'm
I'm
saying?
not a
We're not
religious
religious,
person, you know, but they'll
but
damn
yet you're
sure take
religious.
advantage of the fact that there's a large network of businessmen who only do business with each other, and they spread, especially these government contracts and these big deals that your family can eat off for generation. They spread it in house. Nobody else can get them contracts.
And this is a precursor to world peace, and guys like me and you just want world peace. So that's why it's so fascinating to us.
Michael wants world destruction.
Yeah, it's not good for the podcast. I don't know if peace is good for the podcast.
But I think you answered my question. But basically, the idea of the distinction between Jews that are spread out geographically and possible the 10 less tribes is there could be links between them we just don't know. Is that what you're saying? That Jews that are in India, they could be like people who discovered the laws of Judaism and adopted them, or they could be actually descendants.
Well, we've
of the
done
lost
enough
tribes.
research to say
See, he
that
gonna bring up.
that come.
Mm-hmm.
What's your timestamp? He's gonna bring up the Israelites, but the whole
Right.
point is they're more focused on talking about all these other nations that are known converts, like Ethiopian Jews and stuff, rather
Mm-hmm.
than realize that, because Harry, that's how he makes it seem when he's dealing with Israelites. Like, oh yeah, I understand what y'all going through, but when they get on these, like they talked about the Igbo guy, and the Igbo was like, no, I'm not Nigerian, I'm Igbo, and then he well, let me wait because it might come up. So just keep playing the video.
From the 1400s, from the Spanish Inquisition that made it there. So there's very recent, so to say.
Yeah.
That's
Postmodern.
more on the west coast of India. But then in the upper east corner, you have the B'nai Menashe, who are the children of Menashe. They don't look like anyone, they're Oriental looking. They don't look like what we would recognize a Jew, but they say they're from the ancient house of Israel. So it's most likely that they're not just a bunch of people who learned about it and wanted to convert to it. The likelihood is what happened across the Silk Road 2,700 years ago, which we're talking about this now, is Well, first, let me just rewind. You look at the story of Esther and Joseph. These were two Israelites in two different time periods who ended up in far-flung places.
Fast forward this.
One in Egypt, one in Babylon, and
So
somehow
what
rose to
number?
become influential and rose
Go up a whole minute.
around some King Solomon First Temple looking stuff. So you see a cultural boom within 100 years of the tribes of Israel going towards the Far East. So for me, there's no smoke without a fire.
So you actually are attributing a lot of these institutions and these things that are popping up across history as having potentially Jewish roots in ways you would never imagine.
Well, look at Japan. They're a 2,600-year-old kingdom.
Go up another minute.
The oldest monarchy in the world. They have a holy temple today in Mount Moriah in Japan. Mount Moriah is... So that was the reason we went there in the first place, according to the Kabbalah. And this is where the psychedelic lecture comes in, because the reason we had to...
Look, that whole Kabbalah, that Kabbalah and them psychedelics, that explains the wickedness.
Yeah, rewind a little bit. He gonna go into it.
Saying there,
And you will never find a kosher restaurant without sushi.
That's the joke about the whole thing. But that doesn't mean I'm saying that 10,000 Israelites showed up to Japan. It means an Israelite must have reached there at a certain point of their exile, as we were commanded to do. We were supposed to go to the four corners of the world. That's what the verse says we were supposed to do.
What if someone said that's just sort of the structure of Holy Temple?
He's saying they were commanded to go to the four corners.
Someone else?
Not to be scattered to the four corners.
Right. As a punishment.
This dude is hilarious.
No, go out, travel far away. I mean, it's ridiculous because his learning is all extra biblical. The Kabbalah and the Talmud and the Mishnah and all his sages.
Right.
Anything biblical, it just doesn't line up with what he's saying. And it's because I get it. It's his psychedelic trips. You know what I'm saying? Because that goes hand in hand with the Kabbalah.
By the way, Israelites left with a lot of things that were done in ancient Egypt. You know, so that was the reason we went there in the first place, according to the Kabbalah. And this is where the psychedelic lecture comes in, because the reason we had to go into Egypt was to act these things that they had of light that had fallen there. So
it's possible.
So once again, pause that. That's part of their religious beliefs, that some beings of light fell into Egypt and they had to go collect these beings of light. And this is part of their history that only they have, their Talmudic Kabbalah history, right? They're the only ones that have this Babylonian history of their doings and historic events that they claim that didn't take place in any historic records, right? A lot of historic records don't agree with their made-up history. But going to find beings of light that fell into Egypt is one of those situations where they're just making it up as they go along. Whatever they need, they'll just pull one out the office.
They must be on that peyote.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Bruh.
Any ideas or things you want to promote, or
hold on,
where can people find you online?
Where were we at?
RabbiHarry.com is like
I skipped the gang.
Yeah, he was at around 25, I think.
Let's see. Yeah, we're from the house of Israel. We come from the We were slaves.
To like what Ashkenazi Jews in the States do on a Sabbath?
It's a good question. First of all, we just have to understand when the tribes went into exile, they were already worshiping idols. You know, they were already like not these Torah practicing religious people.
So pause that. Now watch. Pause that. So he's saying that when they went into exile, they weren't practicing Torah, but he also claims that they've had a pure transmission of the Torah ever since King David. So, So which one is it? You know what I'm saying? What are we doing here?
Yeah, it's forked tongue, just like the devil.
But if you do look at the base camp of the Israelite exile in Afghanistan, Pashtuns, another word for Pashtun is Bani Israel, the children of Israel. And we spent a few years pulling big data out of Afghanistan, sending surveys to different villages. And we've come up with a list of things that are clearly only found amongst the teachings of Moses. like levirate marriage. You know, if a person dies childless, his wife has to marry the brother, and there's a process. If she doesn't,
Happened in my family. I just found out.
yeah.
Is your uncle your father?
Generation
riddle.
zero.
They had to do that. They
Yeah. Yeah.
So they have that. They have cities of refuge where if you're running, you know,
Go to
for
34, man.
be killing you, you can have a
I did
sanctum
not
and a
take these numbers.
There are
I don't
things.
care
It's
at
just
all.
among the
8-day
Pashtuns.
circumcisions,
Right.
unlike other Muslims, because they're Muslims today, but unlike other.
Go to 3430.
Instead of a tweet from the ADL saying
3430?
Yeah.
I think, honestly enough, it stems from the never again mantra of the Holocaust is being applied.
Oh yeah, go back a little bit.
Not just to actions that are murderous,
Rewind a little bit.
but
instead of a tweet from the ADL saying we will not tolerate speech like this.
Right.
And so I think Harry is someone who I think you're the only person I've seen, at least on social media, having some sort of other approach, which I'm very interested in because it doesn't seem like the approach of the ADL is being productive right now.
Yeah.
It seems like it's alienating people and just causing people to go into their
So pause
camp,
that.
especially as you see in the comments on our.
So if you see, he's talking about the ADL. So that means he's already brought up Israelites. I'm trying to find the part where he brought up the Israelites. But he's talking about how people are responding to how Kanye got attacked, how Kyrie got attacked. You see what I'm saying? And
Right.
They're looking at it saying it's not productive because they know what any real person is going to know, that this is reinforcing everything that they're saying. See what I'm saying?
Right. The
So
power
we're smart
brokers.
enough to know.
Right. They're just showing that they wielding power, just like Kanye, just like Ye said. They got all the cards, and
Right.
they playing them.
Yeah, that's what they do. These dudes are teaching
Yeah, and I think-
anti-Zionism. So I'm saying
Right,
they're
right.
anti-Zionist. So it makes it seem like, well, we're not with all this corruption and the money and the owning stuff, and that's why it becomes anti-Semitic. But the thing is, the only people oppressing the rabbis is the Zionists. So it's still, if you're the Jews, then there's still, the devil still doesn't make sense. So I'm saying
Right.
the only one oppressing you is you. It's
Right.
still the biggest oppressor in the world. So I'm saying.
So I want to hear Harry talk about
and I
that.
think, honestly enough, it stems from the never again mantra of the Holocaust is being applied to express, not just to actions that are murderous and genocidal, but any sort of speech or conversation that obviously is clearly hateful. We're applying the never again to almost anything, equating speech, conversation to the actions that are obviously intolerable, and obviously never again applies to these intolerable actions. Like, we can't let anybody act this way towards Jews, treat Jews
See,
this way with violent action. That's where we draw a line. And then after that, to prevent those actions from happening, what are your thoughts on the strategies that we're implementing today?
I think that this whole scenario is going to lead to a solution.
Yeah,
that will
pause
be
it. That's what I'm saying. Pause it. That's stupid. So he just said all that violence and leading to violence and violent actions, and no one did anything violent. And even the DEFCON 3 statement that Ye made on Twitter, that wasn't even a violent assault. That was his inability. That was his inability to even say the word DEFCON 3 defense condition, right?
Right.
So that's not even a big deal, but they blew it out of proportion. They made it a thing, and automatically it's like they're fighting everybody.
Yeah, it's almost like the boy who cried wolf. You know what I mean? Like they sitting there, they do a lot of screaming, like somebody hit them, and nobody hit them. Now all of a sudden, now they got this narrative that they're being attacked, and they just out there screaming. Like nobody's
Yeah,
attacking.
exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
The strategies. So, but we have to rewind a little before we get to it.
Yeah.
To understand context of what is a Black Hebrew Israelite in the first place, before we understand how do we answer them back in a way that's not like talk to the hand, like and cancel them.
Right.
So should we do that now?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's what they're doing.
More about-
They're doing this nice guy advocate thing, right? So they're trying to come in and be we're not the Zionists, we're the good guys, we're the Jews that are going to give you your heritage, when it's just a sham, because they don't even have the information to teach, first off, and then they're making up their own narrative as they go along.
Right.
Which that would cripple our movement, trying to even deal with them on any level. But he is persistent in trying to have these dealings with the Israelites, make it seem like he knows what we're talking about. He's like, I feel like he's the other side of the vote, the maggot coin. You know what I'm saying? It seems
Right.
like they're both two heads working for the same monster.
Right.
And
Right.
all they want to do is lead niggas, because they think that we're incapable of really getting through this movement alone, right? It boils their blood to think that they can't be a part of this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, right.
So it's just something they got to deal with. But they have a long list of points they make, and my notes are horrible. But I'm gonna keep going through this till I get to one of my points. Let me
For
get
sure.
where are you at? 35, right? Yeah, let it keep going, because it's
All right.
especially on something
38.
that Kyrie Irving is promoting. You've you've had conversations with that author,
Many.
and you're very involved with Amari Stoudemire. I think you helped him through the conversion process.
He helped himself, but I was just a study partner
True,
because
but
along the way.
you're very involved in the community. I don't know how to categorize Amari. I don't know how he categorizes himself, but like you're
just a holy
you're not
Jew.
just like
You're in
very
this
involved
space.
this
You are
stuff.
in this space that a lot
He
of
said
people
he's just a holy Jew.
shut it
Yeah,
down.
so-
Anti-Semitism. We
I'm
can't hear.
just-
So I've been in this space because I've been debating these hateful people. Obviously, Amari's not in that camp. The people who are hateful.
See, he said
towards
camp.
Jewish
You hear
people.
him? He
I've been
said
debating
camp.
them for many years, and I found it to be very easy to discredit their logic that they're promoting. But they're not really coming with logic; they're coming with emotions. So that's where there's like a clash.
So can you explain the claims?
All right, pause.
Yes. First, let's go
Pause
just
that.
rewind.
Pause
Real.
that. Pause that. So it's crazy that a Jewish person who has the anti-Semitic mob behind him, right, to support all his ventures, and anytime he gets a boo-boo, right, to say that we're responding out of emotion, when anger is an emotion, so you can say we're responding out of emotion, but what you can't say is that we aren't responding with facts. That's the
Right.
point. That's where the emotion comes from. The fact of how upset we are that you guys have hijacked our identity, and in us finding it, you don't just rightfully return it to us. You want to still weasel your way into it. You want to skim something off the top to this day. We
Hey.
already have, you know what I'm saying? We
They
busted
trying
it
to
already.
they trying to gleam all the grapes. Insatiable.
Out of this world. Out of this world.
And look, this is a sure sign that the gig is up, and now they got to go to these tactics. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's hilarious. Let me tell you, it is hilarious. So these people are straight Amalek, right? That's how we see them, and we don't accept any of their Jew rhetoric. And in our biblical history, we see Amalek has always caused problems, right? Amalek
Thorn
is
in
going
the
to be a
side.
thorn in our side, right?
Mhm.
So that's something we have to deal with. And that's what's so amazing about this guy, because he's the embodiment of Amalek. He's talking about these Arabs. He's talking about these Elamite possible Israelites. He's talking about all these tribes. He goes into the Igbo, and I believe he went into that before Amari Stoudemire. But when he wants to talk about these real brothers out here that's putting in this work on the streets week in and week out tirelessly, right? let me tell you, he wants to say these hateful people. Let me
Right.
tell you, Mr. Rozenberg, we do nothing more than love our people because that's how we roll.
That
So the
part.
whole point is all this fake love and wanting to commandeer the awakening. It's not gonna happen, buddy. You know what I'm saying? It's not for you,
Look,
and
and
that's the
look,
point.
the caucasity, Apriyat, the caucasity to sit there with a straight face and his passive aggressive voice and say, I find it very easy to discredit their claims. What?
When? Tell me
When?
about it. When?
I just saw a bloodbath where you didn't have one answer. Well, I'm gonna go talk to my sage. I'm gonna go talk to someone smarter than me. You did not have not one answer to what the brother Ariala was bringing to you. Clueless about Torah and Tanakh. All you go back to is Talmud and the sages. It's hypocrisy. The caucasity. It's just blatant. It's flagrant. With a
Yes,
straight
indeed.
face. If I just got done dirty like that a week ago, I wouldn't even be on social media nowhere, man.
Elephant in the room is if you go to the government of Israel's website on their view on the lost tribes of Israel, who's from the house of Israel around the world, you'll notice one of the most common names in that report is the
Oh,
Igbo
no, this is it.
tribe. And these are about 40 or so million people in Nigeria that self-identify as being Jewish. And now there's 60 Orthodox communities in there that who've converted and are practicing Judaism. And the leader of Igbo people ruling over them is trying to create an independent Jewish state, and they have a whole Jewish revival going there. It's fascinating, and the government of Israel is loving it, and they're supporting it, and Jewish people are making documentaries about it, and it's like the most exciting thing ever, and it's giving people a lot of biblical renewal.
We just had a Lyft driver yesterday telling me about all this, and I was kind of like, all right, what? It's all true. What you talking about? This is crazy.
So your Lyft driver was Igbo from Nigeria?
I'm so sure that's what he was saying to me. Yeah, all this stuff. He was saying that he said Israel's been supportive.
So anytime I'm in Israel at the Western Wall and I see a Igbo man, I can tell because they're wearing Nigerian outfits.
Yeah.
I say, are you Jewish? He's like, yeah, how do you know? And I'm like, bro, bring it in, give me a hug.
Yeah. No, that's what he said to me. He picked me up at a Jewish community center. He goes, are you Jewish? And I went, yeah. He goes, this is house of worship, or this is what is this place? And I told him the JC. It's like it's a community center. They do events. It's about a building community. They do all sorts of. They take people from all races. I said, yeah. He's like, I am from Nigeria. Igbo. He didn't say and when I said Nigerian, he's like, not Nigerian, Igbo. Yeah. Not Nigerian. I am Igbo. I am Jew. And we're trying to do what Israel did. They're supporting us.
That is.
Yes, because Nigeria is just a name that the British threw onto the amalgamation of a bunch of different tribes there that destabilized the region and led to a genocide and a Holocaust of the Igbo people. When the 1960s
see that trigger word?
Killed and murdered.
Yeah, he told me about that too, but I was running late. So.
And so it's
boom, right there. That's what I wanted you to say.
Because we have such
I wanted you to see that point. Rewind that a little bit. Look at how he said all that about the genocide and murder. He used that trigger word Holocaust to get them to see, you see Holocaust. They were Holocausted. I'm trying to add them to the list. But the whole time, he's talking about all this rape, robbery, and murder that's happened to these Igbo people. And then look how this dude in the salmon shirt responds. I don't even know why he would wear a salmon shirt. Are you
Jewish? He's like, yeah, how do you know? And I'm like, bro, bring it in, give me a hug.
Yeah. No, that's what he said to me. He picked me up at a Jewish community center. He goes, are you Jewish? And I went, and we're trying to do what Israel did. They're supporting us. And he started going on this whole thing.
Yes, because Nigeria is just a name that the British threw onto the amalgamation of a bunch of different tribes there that destabilized the region and led to a genocide and a Holocaust of the Igbo people. When the 1960s, millions of them were systematically killed and murdered.
Yeah, he told me about that too, but I was running late. So.
And so it's like
see how they respond to that, and they laugh about it.
Yeah, so whatever. But for them, it's never forget, right? But for our people, it's whatever. Oh, yeah, that's cute. They want to be like us. Little do you know, small hat. Little do you know, you've been taught lies, and the truth is coming out.
Bring that out
because they're sitting there talking with this caucasity, look, they want to be a part of us. You don't get it, buddy. You just don't get it. And they can't put two and two together and go, well, wait a minute. Let's look at Nigeria. And so we got to look at the rest of the surrounding area. What about, you know what I'm saying? Togo, Sierra Leone, Liberia, Ghana. You know what I'm saying? Cameroon. What about all these areas? Like they brain has to be thinking, wait a minute. It can't be just this one isolated tribe in Africa.
I don't think they care.
But the caucasity
I
though.
don't
Oh
think they
yeah.
care.
Yeah, I was running late, so whatever with your Holocaust. It's crazy.
The damn devil.
We have such a never
One
again
star.
Holocaust
Yeah.
theme, but like these people had it. But what is mind-boggling to me, which I can't imagine why this is not in the news and not spoken about, is that like a large chunk, more than a fourth of the transatlantic slave trade came specifically from this one tribe. So how are we not starting to connect dots and being like, wait a minute? So the tribe in
So
Africa
pause that.
fascinating.
So see, he's saying like a quarter of the transatlantic slave trade, and that's his way of being nifty, right? That's
Yeah.
his way of being nifty. So he's trying to say that a quarter of the transatlantic slave trade came from the Igbo, but we know that that's only from the Igbo. All the various
Right.
tribes have different Hebrew historical values that we apply to the tribes that we are aware of in Africa. See what I'm saying?
That part.
But he's only mentioning the Igbo. The whole country of Benin is full of priests, the real Igbos.
Right.
That's why he would never mention them, right?
Right.
That's the whole point. These people aren't unaware of who's who. They're just hiding it.
They dancing with wolves.
They're
It's
trying to
crazy
find their
how
own space.
they sitting right there and it's right in front of their face, and they still got to twist it like nearly a quarter came from this one tribe. To say that, okay, the other 75% came from other tribes because it was a bunch of tribes and paint the rest of that picture because it's game over for them.
Con. They're aware of a lot of these tribes that are.
Is now the blood of those people flowing through the African American community here, which makes sense to me why they're all being like, we have an Israelite affinity where we're identifying this is us, we are this. And so I'm like, so yeah, if the DNA of the blood of these people are in them, they have a valid claim to feel and say that. Where it goes wrong then is where spiritual bullies come and hijack that reality into forming cults that create hate and etc.
All right,
so
stop right there.
Battle.
Listen. That's what we're gonna do. You want to think we're bullies? Yes, we're gonna bully. We're gonna contend for the faith. We're not gonna let you bully the truth away from us because that's how they got it. See what I'm saying? Didn't they bully their way into their spot by the British mandate? Right?
Absolutely.
So let's talk about that. The British mandate for Palestine set it up to where they could even be in the land. And they had a way to get there, right? They had programs put in place to get them into the land, right? So
by plane.
You have to understand, this had been set up for a long time. And it involved Zionism and then Rabbinic Judaism. But they had to work hand in hand. The Zionism is what people are associating with the taking over. And then you've got the Rabbinic Judaism that people are thinking is all the same thing. But they're just, they're working together. Same thing, same idea, two heads of that snake. Because one side is doing the propaganda. That's what the rabbis do. They spread the propaganda. They teach the story. They're writing all this garbage, his history. You know what I'm saying? And then you have the Zionist Jewish community that are buying up everything, ruling everything, to where the things they say, these Zionists can back them and always put them in a position to seem like what their claims are true. But they don't know the Most High got the earth helping us. See what I'm saying?
Right.
And archaeology is always coming out that is proving our claims. But it's crazy that these people have so much caucasity, they don't even care. You know what I'm saying? They speak loftily.
Boldface.
It's amazing to me.
Boldface.
I'm not battling the reality that you could be from the house of Israel. Because, like I said, the bottle shattered and glass went around the whole world. I'm battling the bullies that are standing in between you and your inheritance, which is the Torah. Because if you really are from the house of Israel, come back towards the Torah.
This buffoon has the nerve to talk about Torah when he just got bludgeoned over simple verses. He got bludgeoned. Yeah, he got the nerve to talk Torah. I'm gonna keep my mouth shut, man.
Yeah, he's an nitwit to say the least.
Goodness, man.
Let's go to 44, man. Let's see what he's saying in 44.
Which is what.
No, let him finish his point. You know, let me hear him.
From the
he might
people
say something
from
else.
his mother, his identity.
Does he have Ebo? Is he
Yeah, rewind it a
No,
little
we
bit.
didn't do DNA. It's not about.
Was that okay?
Rewind that a little bit. Let me see what he's saying right here.
Where it goes wrong then is where spiritual bullies come and hijack that reality into forming cults that create hate and etc. So those are the people I battle. I'm not battling the reality that you could be from the house of Israel. Because, like I said, the bottle shattered and glass went around the whole world. I'm battling the bullies that are standing in between you and your inheritance, which is the Torah. Because if you really are from the house of Israel, come back towards the Torah. It's perfectly been preserved throughout the exile. Which is what guys like Amari Stoudemire did, because he grew up knowing he was from the people of Israel from his mother. His identity.
Does he have Ebo? Is he traced back to that?
No, we didn't do DNA. It's not about that, because
I'm
like
just curious
I said,
what his path was.
Pause that.
Interesting.
It's not about that because their DNA is European.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So
right.
They don't even really want to do a DNA thing because their DNA is European. Bottom line. So
Period.
that blows their whole reality out the water because their DNA is European. So it's not about that, but somehow they're the direct descendants. It's amazing.
Yeah. I saw Rozenberg turn into a full spiritual Jew after Ariella got through just daggering him to death.
Yeah, did that boy dirty.
Dirty.
Thing to test, but that blood is flowing throughout the whole Western Africa and into the diaspora here into America. And when guys like Amare looked into it and he saw the Torah and realized that it wasn't coming from me, I wasn't middlemaning it. The Torah's right here. It's from 3,000 years ago.
Yeah.
So when he went for the Torah, he went for what his ancestors had. He wasn't going for something that came from Europe or came from a human alive today. He was going for the real thing.
So
and
pause
so,
that.
It's like,
and that's the point. See, that's what they do. These Europeans say that they acknowledge that the Romans are Edomites, right?
Right.
But these Agagites are the sons of Amalek. So they're Idumeans too. And the whole point I think that's funny is because that's the side of it that they're on, and that's why they can push that narrative that, oh yeah, those type of Europeans over there, those are the ones that are Edomites, because even they were fighting each other in those in the 2nd century BCE.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They were all going at it. They weren't really necessarily working together. Rome was waiting for Greece to slip. See what I'm saying? And that's just funny.
Rome and Greece was going back and forth at it, and then you mix in the barbarians trying to get their foothold, and it was a big flourish. It was all right. What's that movie? What's that series of them Edomites? Game of Thrones.
God.
That's all it is. You know what I'm saying? Might is right. Kill or be killed. That's all they know. And then to sit here and try to craft the story as if we are the arbiters of Torah. You got to be shitting me, man. You don't know the first thing about Torah. I mean, lightning should strike him down in his place every time he mentioned like he's an authority on Torah. It's preposterous. She had a taste slapped out of his mouth, man.
Yeah, bring that up.
Preventing the emergence of this Hebrew Israelite momentum, and that's the documentary that I believe was made that Kyrie posted, was by one of these individuals who spun up something that's not real to get people all
What was the false claim?
Wait. How are they getting in between people in the Torah?
Because they're making documentaries like this, which make really good arguments that I don't believe are logical, but are getting people's emotions.
And to distract them from saying, like, well, if you're interested in it,
to create his
learn
own power.
about
This
it.
guy
What's the
wants
motivation?
He wants to be a king and a prophet. He's like,
What
I'm the man.
are the false claims? Let's just put them out there. What's the debate?
Well, first of all, there's a
Now
few,
watch.
and we'll go through what I think are just the two main ones for now. We can go in later. One is that there's a prophecy in the Torah in Deuteronomy that says, I will bring you as slaves again on ships to a land not your own. And you'll be in exile for 400 years, right? So they say the people came on the ships are
Pause
saying
that.
this prophecy.
Watch. See how he convoluted the prophecy to Abraham 400 years in
Right.
Egypt, and then the Deuteronomy 68, right? Deuteronomy 28, 68. The funny thing about that is that's how he does it, right? He just goes up there and talks loose because he says, I'm battling these people. He didn't once mention how he just got scraped, you know what I'm saying, right off the canvas by brother Ariana, officer, you know what I'm saying, out of Philly. Let me tell you, it's amazing that he's just so casually, right? He so casually just says his compilement of garbage, and these people don't know anything about the biblical history, right? Biblical narrative, Torah and Tanakh, right? So they represent all these Jewish people. So when he speaks, the reason they think he's doing so good is because they're just as dim-witted as he is.
Yeah, they don't know Torah in the least bit. And they damn sure don't know Tanakh because they don't know the prophecies. You know, they don't know the stories of the prophecies. They'll loosely say something and then act like it's them that they're talking about. Oh yeah, we were in Egypt. Get out of here, man.
Yeah, prove it.
You know what I mean?
They found a giant meteor with they found a giant meteor with 500 German Ashkenazim in the grave.
Right.
That's what they do have archaeologically, right?
Right. The caucasity. Man.
Yeah, talk about it.
Yeah, we're from the house of Israel. We come from England. We were slaves on ships, and the slavery. You know, there was like a 400-year anniversary that came like a couple years ago, and they're like, now the time is up. We're over. Like now we're becoming a nation again. So that's their thing. So they say, you'll see in a lot of the comments, oh, those people, those Jews, those white European Jews, they don't fit the description of the curses. So this is context to what they mean when they say that, and so they're saying because you don't fit the curses, you can't be from the house of Israel. So then I say back.
That's what the Bible says.
Back to them, like, wait, so if you were honest, are you being from the house of Israel? And they're like, yeah. So I'm like, so what about the Igbo tribe back in Africa where you came from, who are saying they're from the house of Israel? Are they not from the house of Israel? So that question just
So
like already.
that.
What's the response?
See, and they see, yeah, what's the response? Because he's dumb. The point is, but we acknowledge those Igbo people as Israelites because we come from those groups of people. See what I'm saying?
That part.
Their
That
people
part.
experience the curses. So
That part.
He says it, but only these second graders that he's hanging out with and tripping off shrooms or whatever he's doing, talking about his experience in the closet.
Stuck.
You know, that's why his audience is so easily swayed because they don't know a damn thing.
Right.
So he's just talking, making it up as he goes along, and they love it.
They've been fried. You can look at this fool's face right here.
Yeah,
he's not even, he has no clue. None whatsoever. You know, they don't even have a clue when they're being an asshole. Like, oh, whatever. I'm busy. I don't want to hear about your measly genocide.
Yeah, that part.
You know, just freaking the bases of beast, man. That's why they're gonna get it. Oh, they're gonna get it. Man, they're gonna get it.
That part.
You know, like what are you gonna say? It just disproves the whole logic of the exclusivity of the curse.
Right.
And once you can disprove it with
now pause that real quick. See, I talk about these emotional ass people. See, he just got whooped on. And then he came back and just made a little homemade scenario back and forth, right? Little exchange. And he said, yeah, and I just say this, and that's how I win. Coming
Yeah,
off getting
right.
dogged.
Yeah, right, bruh.
You know what I'm saying?
If only it were that easy, right? You
Yeah,
hairy
it's
liar.
just emotional damage control right now. You know what I'm saying? He's going through something. He went to his little school buddies. Hey, let me get on your podcast and talk about Hebrew Israelites. But we're gonna surround it with all this other garbage because I have to just get this off my chest. That's how I look at him, man. He's just a little kid, and
Yeah,
he's not really ready.
he's stuck on that psychedelic trip in the closet. He never got out of that.
He never came out of it.
On ships, then it's the greater exile of the nation is scattered around
And
four
the
corners of the
argument is
world.
based on race. They're saying that because those people who are white were not on the ships, therefore they're not part of this prophecy.
Asian, Japanese, Indian,
Everyone.
you weren't on a ship, you're not part of the prophecy. That was like the one thing they.
You see how he tries to minimalize the whole concept? Like every one of them say you have to do this one thing has to apply to you or it's a wrap. That's a fallacy. Because it's in totality, right? The curses is in totality. It's not exclusivity, it's in totality. Some experience some experience others, right? But in the plurality of it, it starts to make sense when it applies to you in more and more and more and more instances. To narrow it down to this one verse and say that he won an argument off of that one verse is not only a fallacy, it's an outright lie. And they can sit there with a calm face and lie like that. And Lord knows we got the receipts of him just getting obliterated with basic verses.
They claim.
Were Israelites never put on ships and put in?
There actually are stories of Israelites being sold on ships, in the Mediterranean, into Rome, into Egypt. So
slavery as a whole, as an institution, humanism,
More stories.
standard.
yeah,
Right,
but we're not here to decipher prophecy.
Right.
We don't believe that's appropriate.
Right.
And so we'll see what happens in the future. Perhaps they did fulfill the prophecy.
So
Perhaps
pause
they
that. So he's the Jew. He comes from the line of the people that have the scepter, but he's not here to decipher prophecy. That is amazing. See what I'm saying? It doesn't even make sense at this point. Well, then where do we go to decipher prophecy? You're the Jew who I'm supposed to come back and learn Torah. Is there not prophecy in Torah? Isn't the Torah the root?
I guess he wants you to go look up his great grandfather, the sage.
You see?
It's ridiculous. You know what I'm saying?
Amazing.
It's absolutely amazing. I'm sure you got like a series worth of stuff on him, man.
Yeah, I just wanted to really give this video like this because I wanted y'all to just see. They sit around, they talk, they just, oh yeah, you gotta be coming from out of slavery. Oh yeah, he told me about his death of all his people and how their land was taken. I was in a rush. Just how they sit around and do it, and then the definitely feminine metrosexual at least swag they got going on together as old school buddies, right? From sleepaway camp. The whole point is y'all have to see that this is the guy and this is his job, and he's really out here just making it up as he goes along. I actually prepared a whole timeline of things we're gonna go into this. That's my plan of a direction we're going with talking about these Ashkenazim, and the brother Ariala has a debate that should be airing tomorrow, so y'all check for that, right? And we're gonna do commentary on that, and we're gonna report. We're gonna start going in to these people. I wanted y'all to see this dude though because he's been around. I've seen him a while now, and he's just talking. And he's one of those. He's one of those pig knuckle. He's one of those pig knuckle Jewish guys, right? Because he's
pickle pig
horrible.
feet ass.
You know what I'm saying? He's such a Christian pastor of Judaism. You know what I'm saying? So this was our introduction into Harry. I hope you guys understand what we're dealing with.
Yeah, and it's interesting, Apiyat, because for him to sit there and talk that calmly as if he's the authority and he goes around cutting Hebrew Israelites. I mean, that's almost to the point of sociopath. You know what I'm saying? To go somewhere and get your ass whooped so thoroughly in one circle, and then tiptoe your ass over here back to these fools that you're talking about, and he's sitting there talking like he a sage now.
Right. Because he went and had an interaction. Now all of a sudden he's a scholar.
He's like,
that work?
This is how I defeat them so easily. Bro.
That's like them people that be saying they have powers and they be doing the fake karate.
The fake kung fu master.
The fake kung fu, man. That's what they got.
Hey, they get in the ring with a real fighter and get drugged. Straight drug. But man,
it's amazing.
So look, I'm gonna link up with you, and you know what I'm saying, we're gonna put together a little bibliography. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, him and Vocab is one and the same of their father, the devil.
Yeah, bring it out.
You know what I'm saying? Soon as sees his planet, the devil come to take him and pluck him up. That's all he's doing. Oh, no. You're not the real people. We are, but we can show you how to convert. What?
Yeah. He got his hooks out. You know what I'm saying?
Come on, man.
He got his hooks out. He fishing for real.
It's crazy. But yeah, man. Let's see what we got in the chat real quick.
Shalom family. I ain't been able to see the chat all night.
Boopa, he said that's the ultimate beauty of it. All it is that they have to one day bow down to see black and brown people. They're gonna have to come see us. They're gonna have to come see us, and they know their time is short. They know their time is short. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, Apiyak, I'm gonna give you the last word, King. You know what I'm saying? If you wanna put a pin on it, or you want to promo what we got coming up, you know what I'm saying, the floor is yours, Up.
Yeah, I just want to let it be known. We got to know our enemies. See what I'm saying? We have to know our enemies, and they're learning us. So be wise. You know what I'm saying? Stay diligent out here.
Mm-hmm.
Thank everyone for tuning in. With that, I'd like to give call Allah Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Shalom and good night. Shabbat Shalom and good night, Israel.
Shabbat Shalom. Kwam Yashrala.
Kwam Yashrala.